Hey everyone, today we're going to be dealing with a little bit of a rebuttal, a little better explanation than just the kind of rhetoric put forth and espoused by this particular article out of driving.ca. And I've seen this actually a few times over the course of my lifetime presented and put forth by media outlets. And to a certain degree, I kind of agreed, and your own personal subjective experience will tell you that, yep, if you do these things, it does have the effect that they are suggesting. The problem is, and I mean, as I've gotten older and wiser and thought about things more critically, I've come to the realization that, yeah, once again, yeah, short-term game, but damn, we really got to think about that long-term pain and those long-term consequences of just such actions. And I'll read from the headline: 10 ways to reduce the chances of getting a ticket. And then the sub portion of this headline is: keeping your head straight, be polite, and don't insult the officer. It just might save you from getting a ticket. So, you know, those things sound like to a normal person, hey, kind of makes sense, right? You know, if you butter them, if you stroke their ego a little bit, there is a very good chance that you may very well escape getting a ticket. But what is the underlying fundamentals? What's the underlying aspects of doing that? And what have I or you seen as the big picture consequence? Well, yeah, of course. Just like, I mean, let's replace it with the police, right? Don't insult the king. When he sends his henchmen around to force you to pay for the king's castles and you know, sign your loyalty to his highness, right? If you do that, yeah, of course you're going to benefit in the here and now, in your immediate future. But what is the consequence, the outstanding ramifications of doing such? Well, it emboldens these. And I mean, think about what a police officer, what their occupation is. Day in and day out, these people, I mean, some people make the argument there's good cops and bad cops, there's a few bad apples, but no, these are people that have signed up knowingly that they have to enforce every law and every edict that these central planning types, their political masters, come up with or conjure in their mind, right? To these authoritarian measures they use to dictate and control the population. And it all happens under the guise of this forced wealth redistribution model. The police are paid by, you know, taxpayers have no way to withdraw their support, right, from the police when they act out or do things wrong or that are immoral or unjust or illegal. So you have no opt-in, opt-out. These are people that live off of the proceeds of theft. That's already the baseline starting point that we have to start with. When I was younger, I wasn't fully aware and understanding of these facts. So, you know, and people that are, yes, you probably will agree with this. That's what I'm here for. I'm trying to help you, trying to educate and inform you. So yeah, it will benefit you personally to kiss the officer's ass, you know. Don't say, but you know what happens? You've seen it. How many examples have you seen? Just go through YouTube, right? Or use your own personal or anecdotal experiences and come up with how many times did you have to allow them to be in the wrong, even though they're in the wrong. If I just submit, if I just conform, if I just obey their orders and edicts, right? But you know what they were doing was inherently wrong, unjust, immoral, or even illegit, right? So small picture thinking, yeah, whatever. Big picture thinking is that is a bad precedent to set. Now, of course, I'm not suggesting that you should be an asshole, but when someone's just forget, fuck that they got a costume on or a badge or they're an enforcer of the state. Just take all that out of the equation and think about if any human being is treating you unjustly, and we all have laws. I mean, whether you even want to go, listen, I function off morality and just common sense laws, right? But even if you want to go with the edicts or the pretense of central planning authority like constitutions and Bill of Rights, you have all these rights. Just read through the Canadian Charter of Rights and you are, you know, you have the right to not offer evidence that may incriminate you. You have the right to, you know, not have your free travel impeded or obstructed for any unjust reason. You have the right, I mean, just go through them all, the Charter of Rights, and you'll understand it's actually, yeah, these police are the ones that are infringing continuously on a daily basis, and they fucking know this, and if they don't, well, they're ignorant of the law that they're fucking enforcing. So, I mean, like I say, you can't make an excuse no matter how you try to pretend that people like myself, oh, you're wrong and they're right. Well, no, just like I always say, think through things logically, define the meanings and terms of, or meanings of the words and terms that you use, and just like I say, common sense tells you that no, if you don't at least attempt, and no one's saying being completely outrageous, like, and every situation is going to be completely determined and dealt with based on, you know, how the situation is. Like, if you got 10 officers that are threatened to use violence against you, yeah, that's not a good time to say, oh yeah, come on, I'll take you on. Yeah, because you're probably going to lose in that battle. But use common sense and logic, and don't let these fucking authoritarian fucks continue, because that's, how do you think it emboldens them to feel so secure in their authoritarian methods? If you keep obeying to their edicts and never challenge them, then that's what emboldens an authoritarian. Even someone that might be somewhat benevolent initially, if you keep obeying and conforming to their orders and mandates and edicts when you know they're unjust and they're wrong, that's only going to embolden them to step up that kind of personality trait, or that kind of enforcement of these bullshit laws and edicts. That's only going to embolden them to do it even more, right? It's that constant moving of the goalpost. So no, this bullshit, yeah, kissing cops' ass, stroking the regal, yeah, like I say, fucking reject it. Let's read a little bit in the article, and let's just kind of break down a little bit what they're trying to say. With summer comes more long weekends and road trips, and with it an increased police presence. Many drivers will, of course, be pulled over and cited for doing stupid things, from speeding and carrying too much furniture on the roof or texting behind the wheel, the stupidest of all. While most of the time the tickets we receive are well deserved, some might be borderline and may well be reduced to a warning if drivers do all the right things upon seeing those red and blue lights in the mirror. Based on police comments and traffic court specialists, none of the suggested behaviors below are certain to get you out of a ticket when pulled over by police, but collectively they contribute to the chances of getting off the hook a little easier. Even if they don't work, these strategies will have at least made the work of the issuing officer less difficult. So that's your job, right? That's what they're saying. Hey, make their life less difficult, right? The enforcers of the state, right? Don't worry about freedoms. Don't worry about your rights. Make sure you're making their lives easier, right? Holy fuck, man. And by the way, this is being presented by Derek McNaughton. Derek. Think a little bit more through before you come up with this stuff, because you may think you're helping Canadians out, but you're not really. You're causing and contributing to this race to the bottom, right? Look at the evidence is in. Just look out in the real world that you live in. And the fact that you're putting this article tells me you at least somewhat recognize that. Why would you put this out there, right? You recognize there's some problem somewhere, but you're erring on the side of the enforcers instead of the people. There's where your problem starts. That's where they arise. The officer doesn't know who you are or who they are dealing with, so everything you do to make their job easier helps your case. Ah, Jesus, Derek. Ah, so sheepish. The second you see police are behind you with lights activated, and they are indeed after you, not the speeding Audi driver, signal that you are pulling over and find a safe spot to do so as quickly as possible. Pull as far right as the road allows, well into the grass or on the shoulder, if necessary, to give the officer ample space to approach your vehicle safely. This shows some consideration for the safety of the officer, who will be standing dangerously close to the high-speed traffic. If you're wearing a hoodie, sunglasses, or a hat, remove them so your face is visible. Apply your emergency flashers and pull out your license, insurance, and registration. Sit tight, do not exit the car, stick your head out the window, look back, or throw your arms up in astonishment that nothing is happening. Do not honk, do not use your phone, or take photos of the police vehicle behind you. Be patient. The officer will be running your license plate to check the governance of your vehicle to see if it's stolen or if the registered owner has a warrant for arrest. Note, if you're passing police who have someone pulled over, It's the law in most provinces to move over one lane or face a stiff fine. Like, holy fuck. Handbook, this should be just called the Handbook for Conformists is what this should be. Don't challenge their authority. Jesus. At the roadside, ensure all your windows are down, especially if you have tinted windows. Turn on your interior lights and place your hands at 10-2 on the steering wheel when the officer approaches so he or she can get a clear view inside the car to assess whether you pose a danger. So automatically you're on the, like, come on, this is what's causing so much trouble in the world is, yeah, look at the people as always being the evil fucking doers, right? Instead of the cops that are literally the mindless enforcers of edicts. They're robbing people for victimless crimes daily, and causing obscene amounts of hardships and pain, not just financial, but personal and social. But yeah, don't even think of any of that. Just put your head down and obey and conform, right? Jesus. Do not flirt, which is only an insult to the officer's integrity. And officer's integrity? Okay, I'll just skip by the fact that you just said those two words together. Greet the officer in a professional fashion, using sir or ma'am. It's no mystery why you're both here. The more you appear as non-threatening, the more favorable the officer is likely to be. So yeah, like I said, all you're telling them, bootlick, lick the boots, lick the boots, lick the boots, right? And then you end up with an entire population of bootlickers. How's that working out? Not so good as far as I can see. You should know exactly where your registration insurance papers live. Papers, please. And have retrieved them, not having to go searching amid the old subway bags in the glove box. Be ready to reveal the documents along with your driver's license. Of course, these documents should be current along with your license plate sticker because you dutifully updated the renewal slips. It's a good idea to keep the papers under the armrest in a special pouch, showing you're a responsible, organized motorist. Who knows the importance of valid, required documentations, right? You need... Doc, like, listen to the way this fucking guy is talking. Holy shit. If you went back to many of these very authoritarian regimes all over the world, you would have heard this exact same kind of rhetoric, right? And how'd that work out? How is it working out now? Damn. Consider every move. When an officer asks for the documents and you haven't already retrieved them, ask the officer if it's okay for you to reach for them. Officers should automatically assume that you're some sociopathic killer or whatever, right? While you're driving down the road peacefully. Oh, damn. Whether it's in your inside pocket or the overstuffed glove box. Again, this reveals you're cognizant the officer is on guard for dangers, such as a gun or knife. Meanwhile, the officer's aware. Meanwhile, what's the officer carrying? A gun. And maybe not a knife, but handcuffs, maybe taser. But the officer's worried about you, and he's wearing a bulletproof vest. Meanwhile, all you people driving down the street, you know, you're overwhelmed. I mean, how many of you are driving down the streets with guns and weapons in your fucking hand or close by? Most aren't, right? So look who's really being the one that who's really the one that's got all these weapons, and he or she will likely appreciate your awareness of the risks in their job. And I mean, that's another thing in the risks of job. Hey, go look through the statistics. Even if you look what the top 10 most dangerous occupations, you'll see that cops don't even reach top 10. And gee, imagine, of course they don't. These are people, they're part of a giant collective of gangs that have all the weapons and the state backing them up, right? Really though? This, like I say, this mentality, oh, you're not contributing to anything good to the Canadian psychology, I'll tell you that. You may think you are, but if you actually had done this properly, like someone like myself, right? I mean, yeah, you just listen. Be respectful to every human being, cop or anyone, right? Although the cop is already in a position that they deserve less of your respect, but hey, forget about all that. But of course, on any kind of individual interaction type of basis, of course, any human being, just be respectful first. But the minute they start fucking with you or start showing that they're being authoritarians, this guy would suggest, oh, just shut up and wait till you get a lawyer after the fact or whatever. As if the lawyer, then you're going to run through that entire system of the state, which how many times do you as the person win out in that case? rare. They're rare exceptions. The overwhelming majority of the cases just, oh yeah, they're telling you to put your head between your legs, suck it up, buttercup, and hope that the system will completely reverse course and make you a priority instead of their enforcers, right? Yeah. Like I say, the precedent's there, folks. How many times do you see that happen? Recognize that if it's raining, snowing, or blistering hot outside, a quick apology for making them work in the weather might... Holy shit! Really? Oh, damn. Yeah. The simple small talk suggesting you are a normal human being. No, suggesting you're a mindless fucking conformist to the ruling class. Do you know why I pulled you over? Do not plead utter ignorance, which will only frustrate the officer or demonstrate you were not paying attention behind the wheel and are trying to be evasive and are difficult. Oh, I would tell you just remain silent. That's actually part of the whole Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Is you have the right to remain silent. You know, don't offer evidence that may be used to incriminate you in court of the law. But like, right. Damn, terrible advice. Terrible advice. Do not ask for proof. Do not accuse the officer of anything, or of getting something wrong, or asking whether they have something better to do, which will only cement your ticket and eliminate any chance of getting a break. So what you're saying is the officer, just based on your behavior, not the legality of what you did, is you're basically admitting that it has nothing to do with the legality or actual proper morals or justice. It's just, if you don't kiss their ass, well, the law is based on whether you kiss their ass or not. That's what you're saying. The law is going to be based on whether you kiss the officer's ass or not. Really? That's the kind of fucking world you want to live in? That's the kind of country you want to live in? That's the kind of province you want to live in? That's the kind of locality you want to live in? I don't. Do not say you are married to a judge or the chief's sister, or they know who you are, even if you are Peter Mansbridge. Do not make excuses. He or she will have heard them all. Do not crack jokes in a vain attempt to diminish the severity of the situation. What's the severity? You don't even know what situation you're talking about. You're just going to make that blanket statement, right? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, terrible, 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 terrible. Know what to say and what not to say. If you've been caught red-handed and are certain you have no plans to fight the ticket, admit what you did, or admit what you believe you did, and succinctly apologize. But be concise. Don't blather. Say something like, I'm really sorry, sir. I really do know better. Or, I should have seen that sign. I'm usually excellent at obeying rules. Oh, I don't know if I can get through this whole article. We're going to try, though. I'm sorry. If you think you might possibly fight the ticket, however, avoid any admission of guilt. But you can say, sorry I had to pull me over. There's a little bit of something. I guess like I throw a little caveat in there, but still. After all that, like, come on, man. Where's your balance? Where's that balance of justice there, right? You're already erring tremendously. I mean, there's no balance at all. What I'm seeing is like heavily in favor of the state and the enforcer, the mindless enforcers of the state, right? Jesus. Doesn't hurt to ask. Plenty of police departments keep track of the number of warnings police issue, and officers can be rewarded for how many they hand out. While there's no insurance in circumstances where the infraction is small or very close to the line, ask the officer if he or she might consider issuing you with any warning instead. The officer's goal ultimately is to get you to be a safer driver, protect the community, and obey the rules. And if she can see you are contrite and are likely to learn from the mistake, the chances of a verbal or written warning increases. What's she? You know, you could have done he or she, right? Or just the officer. I don't know, why would you choose the sex there? What would Freud say about that particular sentence, right? I don't know. Your best behavior. At all times, be exceedingly polite. Show respect to the officer and the dangerous work they are committed to do. Be diplomatic, courteous, professional. Show you're a good, normally law-abiding citizen who momentarily lost focus and made an error. This makes you look human, and it will probably make the officer feel better about giving a kind person a break rather than punishing them. Or cry profusely, and only the coldest-hearted officer will be unwilling to cut you some slack. Oh, I actually guess there's only one more paragraph left, so let's finish it. If all else fails, Sure, the easiest thing of all is to avoid getting stopped in the first place by obeying all the rules. Like, how many people do you see out there? That's the thing when they talk about this fucking bullshit. Go out on the 401 or anywhere and show me where people are all following the rules. Actually, the reality of the facts, most people break rules every day. But it's not that they're bad people. They just, like, these rules are arbitrary and fucking bullshit for the most part, as you know. Most people just use common sense and good judgment. Yes, there are people that are exceptions to the rule, and there are people that do things that are outrageous and do cause real harms and are potential dangers to the roadways. But most people do this every day with no harm, no victims involved, right? Speeding 20, 30 kilometers and over. I mean, especially when you talk about speed limits, that's another fucking thing. Look at, we have speed limits that are the same if you go back 50 years and think of how much advance in technologies and safety in the cars now. But they're still the same shit. Or when they reduce speed limits so that they can, and you see how the cops, they hide so they can catch you. And they know certain, it's all just about generating revenue for the state. But anyways, whatever. But if you do get stopped and receive a ticket, and the chances are good you will, either pay the fine promptly when you get home. Don't even challenge it's what they're saying. Terrible fucking advice. Like I say, you have every right to challenge it. It's even written there in the documents. But hey, whatever, right? Jesus, fuck. Before you lose the ticket or sign the back of the ticket within a few weeks of the citation and declare you are going to fight the infraction and mail it. Then wait for the court to set a date for your hearing. But remember that your actions at the roadside can still come into play. If you're a total combative jerk to the cop, the officer will be highly motivated to show up in court to challenge your assertions. And he or she will bring evidence, experience, and a crown prosecutor. Reap what you sow. Oh yeah, they'll bring the full force of the state down upon your ass. That's real. That's the most truthful statement is in this whole fucking article, right? They saved the best for the last, I guess. But yeah, I mean, come on. Come on. Let's get back here. I got to remember what this gentleman's name is. What a fucking bootlicker this guy is, right? Derek McNaughton. Jesus. Mick Naughton. I hang my head in shame. It's G'day Libertarian. And I actually love liberty, unlike this guy.